This is the BBC.
This podcast is supported by advertising outside the UK.
This message is brought to you by Maker's Mark. Hi, I'm Michelle Norris, host of the brand new podcast, Your Mama's Kitchen. I'm so excited to partner with Maker's Mark because just like our show, Makers believes in celebrating the people who have inspired us to pursue our passions. And now, thanks to the Maker's Mark personalized label program, you can create a custom label to celebrate those special loved ones with their own unique Maker's Mark label. And best of all, the label program is free. Go to makersmarkpersonalized.com to order your personalized label today. You must be 21 or older. Labels currently available for 750 milliliter bottles only. Bottle must be purchased separately. Maker's Mark makes their bourbon carefully, so please enjoy it that way. Maker's Mark Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 45% alcohol by volume. Copyright 2023 Maker's Mark Distillery Incorporated, Loretto, Kentucky.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
In this episode of the food programme, I get a look behind the curtain at the food served at music festivals. You'll get to see how it's all changed. The ups, the downs for the vendors, the promoters and the festival goers. I hope you enjoy this episode.
The summer is coming to an end and it's been a very British summer weather-wise, hasn't it? For a lot of people, it's back to business as usual after COVID cancelled so much. People have been taking holidays, trips away and of course going to music festivals. Hundreds are held every year. But while we often picture crowds of people standing in front of huge lit up stages, we perhaps don't think about all the effort that goes into catering these massive events and what it takes to feed so many people en masse. I'm standing in a beautiful garden in Wiltshire, which will be the setting of the End of the Road Festival, which takes place this weekend. It's an ornate space with trees, shrubs and even a few peacocks. The festival is in setup mode. Marquees are going up, stages are being built, and trucks are bringing in supplies. I'm here, though, to meet the man whose job it is to keep the festival goers well fed.
My name's John Evely. I'm co-founder of Pura Vida, a long-standing festival caterer, and I'm also the markets manager for End of the Road Festival. We have between 17 and 20,000 people. The focus is very much on the music and the food. The beer's pretty good too.
In terms of how many food stalls you have to feed 17,000 people.
Yeah. We have about 40. We have Korean food, Mexican, classic English fish and chips. We have a Persian caterer, 2 Levant cuisine outlets. We have virtually everything that you could possibly wish to find. And their biggest problem is choosing where they're going to eat unless they decide to eat 6 meals a day, which I'm more than happy for them to do.
Is it a completely different way of serving food, festival catering, versus having a food truck in the middle of a city centre, for example?
Yeah, it is. If you're in an urban situation with a food truck, you can say, OK, well, we're going to be busy between, say, 10:30 in the morning and probably 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and you gear up for that. At a festival, you're going to be going from probably 10 o'clock in the morning through to 3 in the morning for 4 days.
And how competitive is it to get a slot at a festival like End of the Road Festival?
It's very competitive. The amount of applications we get for people wanting to literally just join our waiting list is in the hundreds. It's tricky because you can see certain people that you go, oh, that would be absolutely brilliant, we'd love to have them. But at the moment, currently, we've got someone fantastic who's doing a great job. And who do you get rid of?
So how many people would you get in this square?
Once you've got 6,000 people in here, it's intimate.
And would you dot some food vendors around?
No, not in here. We have a bar, we have a little coffee vendor next to the bar, and actually we do have sort of a secret cafe in the healing area doing cakes and fresh salads and things that sort of fit nicely with where people want to just chill out a little bit. Have a cup of tea with a saucer and a scone.
So do you have to zone the areas quite a lot in order to, get the right vibe in the right area?
Yeah, definitely. You've got to make sure that we know what that area is going to be like at any one particular time of day. And so we will try to find caterers that will fit that particular area.
What about yourself? How did you start out in festival food?
By pure accident, really. We spent a lot of time in Mexico. We love live music and the outdoors. My wife is a chef. And it took us a long time to go, 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. But eventually we did. So we approached the organiser of a folk festival and explained to him what we would kind of like to do. And he said, yeah, sure, give it a go.
And John Everly hasn't looked back. Over the years, he's worked a huge number of festivals. He tells me that in his heyday, he would travel to more than 20 festivals in a season. He's also been trading at Glastonbury Festival for decades. It's long been home to hundreds of food stalls, as Sheila Dillon discovered almost 20 years ago when she bumped into Billy Bragg at Glastonbury's Left Field.
Billy Bragg, you've been here a lot of years to Glastonbury.
Yes, I have.
Has it got more corporate or less?
I think it's got less corporate. The food has got more interesting. Before it was a bit, initially when I first came in 1984, it was a bit sort of burger and chips out the back of an old ice cream van. There was a lot of that going on. Baps, and you couldn't get a decent cup of coffee anywhere. All the coffee was awful British rail coffee. But now you can get such a fabulous cornucopia of stuff, and if you don't like that, you can get a vegetarian cornucopia with a little bit of hummus on the side.
We're actually in one of the thoroughfares with quite a number of small producers. The Dorset Blue Soup Company, using local Dorset cheese, No Bones Jones, hot veggie vegan buffet, Mediterranean Taste Olive Bar, where you can go and buy olives and dried fruit and bread, Yam the Cassava Creole Food Bar. Next to it is strawberries and clotted cream. The Strawberry Chariot. Well, we're not eating anymore. We're with Dick Vernon.
Well, I coordinate some of the commercial side of the festival.
What is Glastonbury food? Can you sum it up?
We're talking food from across the world. You can eat kangaroo and you can eat ostrich. The variety is there if that's the sort of thing you're into. We're talking quality and we're talking, wherever possible, local produce.
Sheila Dillon at Glastonbury for the food programme in 2004. Since then, a whole load of other festivals have been set up that have lineups that feature bands and chefs. There's Pub in the Park, Rock Oyster, Smoked and Uncut. And one of the first of its kind, and probably the biggest, is the Big Feastival, which is held on the farm of Cotswold farmer and bassist of the rock band Blur, Alex James.
We normally end up with about the same number of Michelin stars as London for the weekend. There's endless amounts of fun that you can have with food. I saw a massive croissant, stupid stuff like that is good for getting in the papers. And actually, we have sort of cookery schools and growing schools and dining experiences. It's just really, really exhilarating. It's the most fun I've ever had. I can say that, hand on heart. Love doing it. Yeah, but like Christmas, like once a year is perfect.
So how does it compare with food at the festivals of his youth?
When Blur first started doing festivals, about early 90s, 30, long time ago, it was kind of belt and braces. It was all the promoters could do to get the PA system to work so you could hear the music. And it was the food was a problem, It's like, all these people here and they're hungry now, we've got to feed them. And the food was utterly shocking. The bogs were a kind of biohazard. But now that the science of staging them is much better understood, you can add extra layers of sophistication. And actually, there are challenges, but it's actually great fun sort of cooking in the open air. My granddad actually was a chef in the army. So, I often think of him, he was cooking in a tent, but there was bombs going off. I suppose it's sort of, it's easy compared to that, really.
A couple of weekends ago, I went out of my comfort zone to visit the Green Man Festival in Bannau Brycheiniog, the Brecon Beacons as they used to be known. It is a proper music festival, so there are no chefs on the poster, but it's known for having a really decent selection of food traders. So we've got falafel, paella on the go, grilled hot wings, South Indian tiffin, all looking very tasty. Just spotted someone I recognise. It's one of the finalists from the 2021 Food and Farming Awards, Taste Tibet. Let's go over. Hello. Hi, you right? Nice to meet you. Julie Kleeman and husband Yeshi Jampa run Taste Tibet. They've been coming here for the past 2 years, but have been working at festivals for around 8 years. And you're set up here to sell some serious volume. I mean, how big are these pots of curry?
This is our small one. Later in the day, we'll have a much bigger pot that actually has a veritable paddle in it for stirring. Because we're going to serve anyway well over 1,000 portions of food during the course of the day, sometimes closer to 1,500.
Goodness me. Where are you doing all the prep? Are you doing it on site? Are you doing it off site and bringing it in?
So for the curries, we're doing it all here on site. So there's an awful lot of chopping happens in the mornings. But the momos, we can't make those here at the stall. So before the festival, we make those in our prep kitchen and then we bring them in our freezer trailer.
What's your favourite things about working and coming to festivals?
For me, it's like working outside. And lots of people, say the food is delicious, and they come back. That's what we feed us. We are happy, and those customers feedback what they say, so we listen for them. So we learn from the customers. That's so important.
Yes, you mentioned he loves cooking outdoors, so for him, he learnt to cook outdoors as a nomad in Tibet, and that's a big part of it. For me, it's the kind of immediacy of the experience. When people come to a festival, they are here to have a good time and they just give really positive energy out. So when she says that they feed us, that's really how it feels. And sometimes I honestly just feel like there's a counter between them, but I want to reach over and hug them, and it makes me emotional. We get good vibes at the restaurant, but it's nothing like that. There is something really special about being in a festival where everybody just really wants to make this work, even when conditions are absolutely dire. We just love it.
About just rehearsing. Once I've got my cardboard tray of curries and momos, we head to a quieter spot to have a proper chat. We know just how good their cooking is, but how do the finances work for traders like them?
They don't tell you at the outset how much it will cost when you apply for a festival.
Which is great, I'm sure.
And once they offer you a spot, they will give you a pitch fee which you can either stomach or you can't. Increasingly, festivals are going the way of charging the trader a percentage of everything that goes through the tills.
Is that better? Is that worse?
For us, that's worse. I think we fear before.
For the rookie traders, this way of working probably works better because then the risk is spread between you and the festival. So we had a really rainy day here at Green Man yesterday. So if trade was down for everybody, as a trader you lose and the festival loses. Whereas if you're paying a pitch fee and regardless of what the weather does and whatever else is going on, you have to just suck that up. So I think we meet a lot of traders who don't mind this new way of working.
Is it hard to be profitable as a festival trader?
I think it can be very hard to be profitable, especially today, costs being so high. But for us, it is not difficult because we have really honed our product. We have a really good team.
Also, we have the really good customers.
All the festivals you've done over the years, what's changed in the 8-9 years you've been doing this?
My personal opinion is that the days of when it was really at its best are maybe behind us. I think with costs being as high as they now are, what you risk seeing is a return to the days when festivals had a lot of burgers and chips.
I think definitely in the future, in the festivals, McDonald's.
You think McDonald's will be
already in the McDonald's in the festivals? So that's the in the future, the money is in the chains. That's the only way.
I hadn't heard about McDonald's popping up at festivals, but yes, she's right. They were at 5 UK festivals this summer giving out free fries. But not here at Green Man Festival, it is proudly independent. The managing director and owner is a woman who was once described as the mother of the boutique festival. Before Green Man, Fiona Stewart managed the Big Chill Festival, and before that she worked for Glastonbury. So, was food always an important part of her vision?
Well, food is one of the most wonderful experience and joyous experience of life. There's joy in eating. And food for me is another stage. It should be at the same optimum level of quality and experience as anywhere else. Before I was here, I worked for a festival called The Big Chill, and getting good food was a major thing. And I remember going out to Camden Market and places like that and actually asking people to come to the Big Chill, and they just wouldn't do it because festivals were alternative then and they had a very bad reputation for criminality, a well-earned reputation, I hasten to add. It was pretty awful at certain points. So getting people that had quality ingredients was hard. But I think one here, the Grand Bouffe that's here, that's along there, we found them in Camden Market. And it took them ages to come to the Big Chill. Now they run Grand Bouffes all over the place. We went to other festivals as well. Actually, WOMAD had very good food as well. So we went there and nicked a few WOMAD stalls.
Inflation has hit festivals in a big way. The Association of Independent Festivals says the cost of staging these shows is up by around 30%. Because of the price of energy and equipment like fencing, toilets and stages, people attending will know food and drink has gone up a fair bit, as have tickets to get in. But does great food equal great profit? Not necessarily, says Fiona Stewart.
The front-loading ones like chips and burgers and things like that are the ones which generate more money with less outlay. So if you go to a festival and all you have is burgers and chips, they're making more money out of that than if you go to a festival like this, which has bigger outlays with fresh food and fresh vegetables, because there's no way we could charge a trader more because their overheads are so high. So it's a commercial discussion as well, understanding that they need to make money and we want the quality. But a lot of festivals won't do it because they're not prepared. Well, ultimately they see it as a food, as a source of income for them. And actually having the cheaper food is actually more cost effective for a festival than having something which is more intricate and higher quality. You know, I'm not knocking other festivals, it's a choice they make, and it's certainly not because we've got more money to make that choice. We just feel it's an important aspect of festivals. Also, you know, Green Man is how can I put this? Is not particularly one that's very hedonistic. People are eating food because they're not drinking loads and doing other things. So we serve 150,000 pints of ale here, but it's not a big drinking festival regarding behaviour. You know, people are giggly and they have a nice time, but they are consumers of good beverage and good food, and they like it and they eat it a lot, and they're here 24/7. There's 25,000 people here every day consuming food and beverage for that period of time, and that's the kind of thing that happens there. That they eat a lot, they drink a lot.
One way some festivals have found to put food centre stage is through hosting chef-curated banquets. Wilderness, Valley Fest and Lost Village all hold them, as does Green Man.
So we're off to a banquet.
We are off to a banquet. So I don't know what a banquet looks like at a festival, but we're about to find out. We get taken in style on a golf cart. We're just on the edge of the campsite and we're about a 15-minute walk from the main stage. There are rolling green hills in the background and it's just past midday and I can hear a little bit of a buzz. There are rows and rows of tables all set out with flowers and all the knives and forks are out, candles in jars, and the food is about to be served.
My name is Kate. I'm from Cardiff, originally from Carmarthenshire. We feel as though this could be described as a food festival. But
your first time attending the banquets?
Yes,
it
is.
So
yes.
What are you anticipating?
Something a bit more higher end, something that feels a little bit more VIP. Also, it's just really nice to sit and eat socially. Because obviously when you do the street food thing, you go and you grab it and you stand and you eat, or maybe you sit at picnic benches, whereas this feels more formal.
Okay, so have you had a look at the menu yet? Do you know what's to come?
No, I'm really fortunate in that I have no allergies, no intolerances. I love so many different foods, so I quite enjoy not knowing what I'm signing up for. So when it turns up, I'm like, ooh, this looks exciting.
There you go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Black Mountain Banquet.
My name's Danny Jack. I'm a chef. I live and work in London. I was originally raised in Newtown in Paris, which is the county we're stood in right now.
And I'm eco-chef Tom Hunt.
In terms of the style of food we're cooking and producing, it's about sourcing what we can locally. And, you know, mine and Tom's approach to cooking is sourcing the best ingredients possible and putting them on the table in a beautifully presented way.
So we've been working with my favourite farmers, Catherine and David at Langton's Farm, and they've got like an acre or two in Crickhowell, which is like there. So we're highlighting their ingredients on the starters with a beautiful plate of their vegetables, just raw, which we're serving with a flamingo pea puree using Hobmadod's peas and Welsh caviar, as we like to call it, or seaweed. And then we've got the lamb, which Derwin's reared over at Forest Coalpit. And that's served with new potatoes with a miso butter.
I'm Aaron de Klerk.
I'm Jessica de Klerk.
We're here from Portland, Oregon, in the U.S.
Oh, goodness,
Yeah,
you travelled a long way.
Yeah, we have some really good friends who had heard of this festival.
And what attracted you to get tickets for today's banquet?
Well, my brother was really nice, and this is my birthday gift.
Oh, God, you were nice, brother. So have you seen the menu yet?
Yeah, I saw the menu. It looks delicious. And all local Welsh. Yeah.
So you're going to get the full Welsh experience.
I'm Abiella Ayland, and I'm managing the front of house at the banquets. So I feel like this kind of dining works really well at festivals like Green Man, Wilderness, where you've got adults, you've got kids, and not so much the younger festivals where it's just kids coming for a party. But it's working really well here. We've sold out for every day. So last year we tried it doing a lunch and a dinner, and in the evenings people were a little bit more agitated to get going and see acts. So that's why we changed it to just doing lunch banquets. People have a bit more time to relax, it's daytime, and then they can go back, get ready and go out for the night and see the acts they want to see.
Obviously, eating at a banquet is not everyone's thing at a music festival, and lots of people will be trying to keep to a budget. I asked a few passers-by to tell me how much food they're planning to buy on site this weekend and what they've bought with them.
We're doing a bit of both. We've bought the usual festival pot noodles and bread and crisps, and then we're eating out. My partner Rebecca, she's vegan, so she's gone down the falafel route. I've just had a delicious steak and chips with peppercorn sauce, so we're both happy. Prices have gone up, but they have everywhere. So my steak and chips was £14.50, but it was delicious and it was worth it, so yeah.
I'm not doing much cooking, make my dad do it. We brought a vegan chilli and we ate that.
I bring tea, coffee, I bring lots of sort of pastry things you can do with boiling water, but we will eat out because obviously festival food's amazing and you want to experience that. So we tend to go back to the tent in the day, have something to eat for lunch, breakfast, and then come out and eat in the evening.
Before coming to Green Man, I thought I'd get some advice from a real festival veteran, the comedian George Egg. This year he's performed at many a festival, including Glastonbury and the Big Feastival.
At Glastonbury this year I was doing my show where I cook a 3-course meal on stage, but I don't have any conventional cooking equipment. So I'm using things like power tools and clothes irons. And then at the end of the show, the audience get to try what I've done.
So as you've been to so many festivals, are there ways to enjoy all there is to offer, but on a budget?
Yes, doing your own conversions on things. So, a tray of chips is probably going to be one of the cheaper elements at a festival. And if you can make that a bit more interesting by adding something that you've brought along yourself, that's going to help. Bring along other spices. Here's a really good top tip. You get the little 35mm film canisters that you used to get rolls of film in. They're brilliant for herbs and spices. So you could pre-toast some fennel seeds before you leave. Have a little pot of those. Here's a brilliant one. Mulligatawny cup of soup. Because boiling a kettle, that's really easy by your tent. Boil that up, put a big blob of peanut butter in the cup of soup, and you'll make a kind of sticky, spicy satay gravy. Then go and buy some chips from a van, pour that over. You've got chips and satay gravy. It's heaven. And all you've got to wash up is a mug. And, taking along things that don't need refrigerating. Cans of fish are so good. A tin of that smoked mackerel, flaked over an avocado. That's a great thing. Bring hard avocados with you and they'll ripen over the weekend. That's a good tip. And also, here's a really good one. Make a really nice meal, freeze it, put that in your packing. That will keep other things cool. And by the time it's defrosted, then you can just warm it up and you've got a meal.
Top tips. And what about the don'ts at a festival? Is there strong food etiquette in terms of things you should be doing and things you shouldn't be doing?
Well, as a punter, I would say have your money ready. because it's always busy, and it particularly before a big band, that's when it's all, it's all really chaotic. Have your money ready, and even more importantly, decide in advance what it is you're going to buy, because there's nothing worse than being behind someone who gets to the front and then starts going, "Oh, I don't know." You're going, I want to go and see Elton John. And they're dithering. So that's one. What else? Look at the queues. Same principle as with a restaurant. A busy restaurant is most likely going to be a good one, and a quiet one isn't. So look for the big queues, and then don't go at meal times. That's another top tip. You would imagine at festivals that people are going to be a bit more sort of relaxed and a bit more kind of cool. It's striking how rigidly audiences stick to conventional meal times. And you sort of, breakfast 9 till 10:30, massive queues, lunchtime, massive queues, dinner time. So adjust and go, right, we're going to eat breakfast in the middle of the morning. We're going to have a late lunch and then maybe a late dinner or something like that. But yeah, go unconventional with the meal times.
George Egg, telling us how to get the most out of your festival experience.
Walking around Greenman, I can see the effort it's putting into living up to its name. There are bins for recycling, all the toilets are those composting ones, and the drinks are served in reusable cups, and so on. So has this movement towards higher quality food also led to greener food at festivals more generally? Jaega Wise is head of music at the charity Julie's Bicycle. It works with cultural events to make them more sustainable.
A lot of festivals are putting in place different standards on sourcing with the traders that they work with. So requiring organic or fair trade certified ingredients. Some festivals like Green Gathering actually ask their caterers and traders to use specific suppliers that the festival works with. And that opens up an opportunity to work with also local businesses and farms and cooperatives. There are events that have started shifting away from serving meat and fish, events like Shambhala Festival, who have gone fully meat and fish free since 2016. And I think that's not really about taking away people's choice, but it is about using that opportunity of when you've got everyone coming together to start that conversation. There are other events like Festival Republic, who organise Reading Leeds and Latitude, who are highlighting the carbon impacts of the food. So on the menu, you see a little traffic light about how carbon heavy a specific thing is that you're going to buy. Also, we've seen individual events, actually Fire in the Mountains Festival in Wales and also Green Gathering, have started looking at using reusable crockery even for the food service so that we get rid of some of the single-use packaging. We've got events trying to work with food charities to collect and redistribute unused food at the end of the event to charities and food banks. So we're seeing a lot of action across the spectrum, and it's a really exciting time.
Jaega Wise from Julie's Bicycle. Back at Lama Tree Gardens, the end-of-the-road markets manager, John Evely, is showing me around the grounds.
So I've been doing it since 2008. But prior to that, there were other festivals that used these gardens. And so my first festival here was 30 years ago.
You know the place inside out.
I do. I still get lost, which I really enjoy.
What's your hope for the future of food vendors and food catering at festivals?
The passion is there. People are constantly wanting to get involved in this. I think the commercial pressures on promoters and festival organisers can sometimes trickle down and price out the opportunity for that passion and talent to really show itself. So I suppose I'd really like it if there was a future where caterers were given the chance to really shine, as hopefully they do here, because it's a wonderful thing.